Hello, hello. I wanted to hop on just a tad early so I can make sure that this works well. Oh, you don't need to see my messy whiteboard, so I'm just going to go like that. You see my timeline cards. How fun is that? And I'm going to, in your broadcast. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Hello, everybody. I am Michelle Stuchel, and I am so excited to be here with you. Um, Sorry, I'm having just technical issues right now. I've invited Brittany to come on. Let's see if she's going to hop on. My name's Michelle Stuchel, and I've known Deidre for years and years. We went to church together back in Richmond, Virginia. She was in campus ministry, and previously I had been in campus ministry. Let's see if I can get her to come on. Alrighty. I already invited her. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Anyway, I am so glad everyone is on here. Okay, let me move that down. Turn off the notifications. Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so glad you all came. Let's see. Brittany's trying to get on. So I'll tell you a little bit more about my story. As a kid, this is the very, very short version. I'd always had really bad allergies. Okay. Anyway, I'd always had really bad allergies. There she is. Hello,
Hey,
hello. How you doing?
how are you?
Doing great. Long time no see. We were together at a homeschooling conference today. So, Brittany, can you see? Are there people on? Are there comments
Um,
going on right now?
don't see any viewers or comments yet.
Okay. Okay, because I just see one. I wonder if that's Deirdre. Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and get started. I'm telling a little bit about my story and how I was plagued by awful, awful allergies my whole life. Tons of ear infections as a kid, and then when I was a young adult, a PCOS diagnosis, and then got married, had kids, moved to Savannah, and my health really tanked. I was in the doctor's office basically the first 2 years that we lived here. Sinus infections out the wahoo, allergy induced asthma, you name it, I had it. My doctor basically said, if your husband can get a job outside of Savannah, you need to move because you will never feel good here. And then I got a sleep apnea diagnosis. And I was exhausted all the time. I mean, and when I say exhausted, I mean my eyes hurt. I am so tired, exhausted. And then chronic digestive issues. As a kid, I was a once a weeker. So imagine how life was like for me, but I didn't know any different. That was just normal life. So fast forward, and my dear friend Brittany, who's sharing the screen with me, was sharing with me about gut health and how all of my issues were related to gut health and blood sugar imbalance. And at first, quite frankly, I thought she was off of her rocker because how could all of my seemingly disparate issues be tied to the same thing? Well, lo and behold, she educated me because I knew nothing about gut health. I trusted the doctors because they were the experts, right? And I read the articles and I did research and I basically just hit another low. I mean, I'm homeschooling my kids. I felt awful and I just knew that I couldn't keep going the way I was going and had to make a change. So I said to my husband, can I please try this? And we did. And I have never looked back. And fast forward, I am off all of my medicines. I feel like I'm aging backwards. I'm going to be 46 years old next month, and I feel better than I did in my 30s. And it's been a total game changer for my health. And that's a little bit about my story. And so, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany to start talking a little bit about the products that we use.
Awesome. Well, that I love hearing your story, Michelle. And I actually hear stories like that all the time, and it really is truly a blessing that I get to be a part of helping other people feel better. And so, just want to share with you guys a little bit about our best selling combo, our happiest, healthiest, customers are on 3 main products. And I'm just going to talk to you about the first one. Michelle's going to share with you about the other 2. But what I want to talk to you about is Plexus Slim. This is our core flagship product, and it's basically a pink drink that comes in a stick pack of powder, just like this. And you just dump it in some water, shake it up. It dissolves really easily. It tastes really good. It's totally natural, nothing synthetic in there, no stimulants or anything like that. Really, I wish it was not called Slim. I wish it was called Balance, because that is its main job. And balance, when we talk about balance, we are referring to blood sugar and hormones. And whenever I first took a look at these products, I used to think, blood sugar balance, that sounds like something that's only important for somebody who is a diabetic. And then I started learning how important blood sugar balance is for every single person. And the reason why it's important is because basically our cells need things to keep us alive and functioning and healthy and thriving, right? That's why we eat food. And whenever you eat food, food is converted into glucose or sugar. Some foods are converted more quickly than others, but that sharp rise in your blood glucose or your blood sugar basically triggers an insulin response. So we have several hormones that, if our blood sugar drops too low, can actually bring our blood sugar up back to a normal range. But there's only one hormone that can bring it down back to a normal range if it gets too high. So you think you're clearest, you feel your best, you look your best, you're in your best mood, and you are the healthiest when your blood sugar is stable and in that normal range all of the time. If your blood sugar gets too high, it's actually very toxic to you, and it can cause lots of damage. And that's why you will see people with diabetes have vision problems. They will get neuropathy in their feet. Their kidneys will fail, all kinds of things, because high blood sugar, chronic high blood sugar, causes a lot of damage. And so insulin is that hormone that God put in our bodies to bring our blood sugar back down after we have eaten something that causes our blood sugar to rise. And so basically, insulin is the hormone that unlocks the door to our cells and gets the sugar out of our bloodstream and into our cells so that it can do the daily work of keeping us alive and healthy, right? And we only need a teeny tiny bit of it. So that is what happens in a normal, healthy body. It always begins at the cellular level. And whenever you eat sugar or something that is very rich in carbs and causes a really fast rise in your blood sugar, your pancreas has to pump out like a lot of insulin to bring it down really quick before it can cause damage, right? It has to bring it back into a normal range. And so basically that sugar gets hammered into your cells because we can't just like leave it floating around in your blood, right? It will cause damage. And that's not a good thing because your cells eventually will get tired and they will literally start to shut down the receptors that allow insulin to get the glucose from your blood into your cells to do the work. And that's bad because that's how your cells are getting the nutrients. So if you think about music that might make you feel very peaceful and relaxed, and then suddenly somebody turns the volume up as loud as it will possibly go, the first thing you're going to do is this, right? You're going to try to block it out because what once was a very good thing can cause damage because it's too much. It's very powerful and now it's no longer good for you. And so that's exactly what happens to your cells when they get tired of insulin just hammering that sugar in all of the time. They will start to block it out. And that is bad because insulin is the master hormone. It's a multifunction hormone. It controls either directly or indirectly every other hormone in your body. So when you are balancing your blood sugar, you are balancing your insulin, which means you are balancing your whole body. And I find it very interesting that there was an accidental experiment that happened, actually. There was a doctor. He left his dog on an insulin pump. And he didn't mean to let this happen. I don't know exactly what happened, but I just know it was an accident. But the insulin went into one of that dog's arteries for 3 months. And when they figured it out, what the results were was that this dog's artery was completely occluded with arterial plaque. But the contralateral artery that had not come into contact with the insulin was completely clear. And so, guys, what does that tell you? Insulin, high levels of insulin in the blood, because our cells are being bombarded daily with like huge levels of insulin. The cells get tired and they're blocking it out. That means we have lots of insulin in our blood, and that can cause arterial plaque. And that experiment has actually been repeated many times since then with the exact same results every time. And so, cholesterol problems, guys, that's an insulin problem. And if you've been tested for blood sugar before and it was normal, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have an insulin problem. You would actually have to have a special test done if you wanted to see if you had normal insulin. Because if you have normal blood sugar, what that means is that currently you are secreting enough insulin to keep your blood sugar in a normal range, which is what your body is supposed to do. But it's not an indicator of how much insulin is it taking to do the same job. It's just kind of like, you know how if that one kid that he's calling his mom, but his mom has learned to kind of block him out, so he has to kind of get louder and louder and louder and louder, like, Mom! Before mom actually finally hears him. Well, that is exactly what happens with insulin. So it takes more and more insulin to get the same job done. Like if you're starting to lose your hearing, you have to turn it up louder and louder and louder, right? So that is exactly what happens in our body. So cholesterol problem, that's an insulin problem. And I'm not going to go into all the science about these other issues, but blood pressure problems, that's also an insulin problem. Thyroid problems, also an insulin problem. Hormone problems like PCOS and things like that, that's an insulin problem. PMS, that's an insulin problem. And the next step, if you're having all these insulin issues, eventually what it will turn into is diabetes if you just let it go. Inflammation, all kinds of things. So you definitely want to keep that insulin balanced. And you can actually reverse insulin resistance if that is an issue. Your body can heal itself. And there's 3 ways to do that. First of all, don't eat sugar and don't drink sugar. And secondly, exercise, because that can actually increase your cell's sensitivity to insulin. And the third thing is supplements. So that's where Plexus comes in. And Plexus Slim, all the claims that you see Plexus make about how it promotes healthy lipid levels, how it promotes healthy blood pressure levels, how it burns fat, not muscle, that is because of what it is doing to that hormone insulin. It is literally helping your cells to be more receptive to that master hormone insulin. Also, it's not just a hormone regulator and balancer, but now it has prebiotics in it that actually act as a Miracle-Gro for the healthy bacteria that live in your gut that make you thrive. And so Michelle is now going to talk to you about our gut health products.
That's great. Thank you so much, Brittany. And that's actually right. One thing, part of my story that I didn't share earlier is that genetically, I'm in the second highest risk group for heart disease, and my triglycerides were crazy high. And the only change I had made, I hadn't had my triglycerides checked for 2 years, and they're best that they've ever been, simply because of Plexus. And the doctor said, whatever you're doing, keep doing. And I said, well, you better believe I am going to. So let's talk about gut health. Like Brittany said, gut health is everywhere now. I just got, about a week ago, my new Cooking Light magazine. It's a cooking magazine. And the cover of it, I left it downstairs. It says, The Gut Health Issue, everything you need to know about your microbiome and feeding it. Okay, it's on the Today Show. Mainstream media is realizing that the gut health is the fastest area of research in not only GI health, but health from head to toe. There are over 27,000 published articles about gut health. And you can just about take gut health and any ailment, and tons of articles and studies will come up because of this collective thing called the microbiome. The microbiome is simply a term used for the collective bacteria in your gut. God designed our bodies in such a way that our immunity, estimates are between 75 and 90% of our immunity resides in your gut. We actually have more bacteria in our bodies than we have human cells by about 10 to 1. Okay, we've got more bacteria in us than we have human cells. And the way that we should live is 80% good bacteria, 20% bad bacteria. Where it gets messed up is because of our lifestyle and the culture that we live in. Most of us have it backwards. 80% bad bacteria and 20% good bacteria, which wreaks havoc on the entire body. So what is some of this bad bacteria? Well, the number one culprit is called yeast. Now, you may have heard about yeast overgrowth or candida. And researchers have found that everybody needs yeast. Okay, you're born with a little bit of it. But the only reason that we need it is because, buckle your seatbelts, it decomposes our bodies when we die. Okay, think about that. Now, because of the way we eat, because of these great things called refrigerators, because of things like antibiotics, if you've ever drank a Diet Coke or had anything with artificial sweeteners, if you've ever taken a Tylenol or an Advil, all of these things, which have their place, right? They have their place. All of these things alter the gut flora in your gut. It wipes out good and bad and allows the yeast to thrive. So what happens when yeast thrives? Brittany mentioned prebiotics, which is basically food for your bacteria, right? Well, there's another fascinating area, part of this microbiome research, is that the bacteria in your gut actually make you crave what they take to survive. So 3 guesses what yeast lives on: sugar and carbs. Okay, see how it's all inextricably linked, blood sugar and gut health? So it's craving sugar to survive. And when you have 80% bad bacteria in yeast, which is a term called dysbiosis, your gut is completely out of whack, what is the yeast doing? It's doing what yeast does. It's decomposing your body while you're alive. It's actually poking holes through the intestinal lining in your gut and allowing all those digestive juices, intestinal juices, and food particles, which are supposed to stay sealed and tight in the intestinal tract, leaking out. It leaks out into the bloodstream, which again wreaks havoc on the body. You can research leaky gut, and then you can research gut health and everything from ADHD, autism, allergies, Alzheimer's, autoimmune issues, migraines. They all have their roots in leaky gut and yeast overgrowth. So one of the keys, the roots to get to optimal health, you have to destroy the yeast. You have to kill off the yeast. Now, most of you, pretty much everybody knows that we need probiotics, right? Our ancestors, and I'm not talking even very far ago, long ago, people ate off of the earth fermented foods. People in second and third world countries actually still eat fermented foods because they don't have these wonderful things called refrigerators, right? So they're getting good bacteria and replenishing their guts. We don't do that as Americans and in our Western cultures, right? So you need probiotics. Probiotics are actually the good bacteria that gets in your gut. And the second product in this triplex bundle is called ProBio 5. And this probiotic is different than any other probiotic on the market for 2 primary reasons. The first is that it is freeze dried, okay? Most probiotics on the market are heat activated. So as soon as you put them in your mouth, the bacteria begins to die. Well, that's not going to help you. You need the bacteria to get to your gut so it can proliferate and live. The second reason goes back to what I was talking about with the yeast. We have in ProBio 5 not only the good probiotics, or good bacteria, but enzymes that literally break down. Yeast has a hard shell that surrounds it to keep it alive. Those enzymes break through that hard shell to get to the yeast to actually kill it off. If you want to get to optimum health, you've got to kill off the yeast overgrowth. And that's what ProBio5 does. So when yeast dies, it actually releases over 80 different toxins into the body. And this is where the third product comes in. It's called BioCleanse. And BioCleanse is a gentle magnesium supplement that helps rid the body of toxic waste. Now, 9 out of 10 Americans are actually magnesium deficient. And here's another fun fact for you. Most Americans have between 9 and 14 pounds of toxic waste inside them. It's pretty gross to think about. So imagine what that's doing to your health. Forget the yeast. Just think about the toxic waste buildup that's in your house. I mean, I love HGTV and all those fixer-upper shows when they get into a house and they start peeling the wallpaper, and then they realize there's more wallpaper, and then there's paint, and then there's wallpaper, and you got to get rid of it to get to the bones. Well, that's what's going on inside. Magnesium is also central to cellular, optimal cellular functions. Magnesium is necessary for over 300 cellular processes in your body. So you've got to have magnesium not only to help rid the body of the waste and the waste that the yeast is releasing in your body, but to clean out the system. So these three products work synergistically so powerfully together to, again, get to the roots of most of our health issues. I remember it was probably Brittany that even said this to me. The medical community really treats symptoms. They very rarely treat roots. And that's why I'm so passionate about Plexus, because we're getting to the roots of the issues instead of treating symptoms and masking the problems. My health continued to get worse until I dealt with the root. So that leads me to the next part of what we wanted to share.
Quick, before you hop on the other part, can I just throw in that I know you guys have heard us throw out like lots of different diagnoses and things like that, and you may not be at that point yet. You may not have PCOS or diabetes or thyroid problems or Alzheimer's or whatever the case may be, that are all these issues are related to the same root problems, blood sugar balance and gut health, which we've just shared with you about. But what if you have some of the early signs that eventually, if you let these things go, they do lead to the bigger, more chronic things down the road. Things like bloating, things like sugar cravings, things like afternoon blahs, or feeling like you need to take a nap at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Things like feeling like you have to have caffeine to survive or function normally throughout the day. Things like not being able to sleep. Things like waking up in the middle of the night to pee. All of these things are precursors and just early warning signs of things that will progress if you let them go. So you can stop these things now, and you can actually reverse these trends by making healthier choices with your diet and also taking really good supplements. So just had to throw that in there.
Yes, it's absolutely true. And I had all of them. I mean, I'm living proof of it.
Me too.
So yeah, I mean, and sugar cravings was it? I couldn't believe after 2 weeks I was making cookies with my kids, and I looked at the batter and I didn't even want it because my sugar cravings were under control. I didn't have to have it. It was really quite remarkable. So, it's almost like investing financially. You don't save when you need it. You save for the time when you do need it.
Yes.
And the fund. And that's the same thing physically. You have to take care of your body now so that when those things do arise, you're healthy enough and fit enough and strong enough to fight it, because those times do come. I think that's an excellent point.
And you do have to invest in your health. And everybody, I mean, it's your choice whether you do it now through prevention or you do it later through prescription.
That's right.
I would choose prevention over prescription every time.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. And that's why I'm throwing myself into what I'm doing and telling about people about Plexus, because it is literally changing lives. When Brittany told me about, the opportunity that came with Plexus and thinking about sharing with people, quite frankly, I wanted to say, but I wasn't strong enough to say, talk to the hand. That's not going to be me. I could never do that. I never want to be that kind of person. You know, I don't even get on social media very much. And then my life started to change, and I kept researching the articles that she would send me and looking at what um, the research would say, and this was really just changing lives left and right, and again getting to the root of most of our health issues. And I couldn't refute the gold that we had on our hands. And then she also told me about where we were in the marketplace and what an incredible opportunity this is, and this, it could literally change the financial future for my family. You know, network marketing companies have a life cycle, and when they're born, so to speak, the exciting time to get in is in the momentum building phase. And only 2% of our population has even heard of Plexus. So what an amazing opportunity we have to be a part of, not only changing people's lives physically, but changing their lives financially too. More people to go to bed at night worried about money than they do about their health, which is a scary thought in and of itself. And so I couldn't dispute that fact. I knew what we had on our hands, everybody needs, but you know, and then the opportunity was real. You know, we have 325 million people in America. Only 6 million people have heard of Plexus, which leaves 319 million and change that have never heard of Plexus. Plexus is growing at such an incredible rate. And it's so exciting because everybody needs these products. Think of a company like Mary Kay, right? Well, Mary Kay has $3.5 billion in sales each year. I think they're number 121. They're the 121st largest company, private company in America, and they have 3.5 billion in sales. Well, guess what? They've already just self-selected half of the population, because are men buying skincare and makeup? No. But what about our products? Everybody needs them, men, women, and children, and they're consumable, and the opportunity is there. And what really got me is because we were changing lives. And I really felt like the Lord said to me, Michelle, do you care more about what people think of you or more about helping people? And when I heard that, I thought, okay, Lord, this is something I can throw myself into, because we all know people that are praying for relief. They are silently suffering and they need help and they want help. And it's really hard to live your all for the Lord or your family when you feel like crap all the time, or when you're a slave to sugar, or you need your nap or whatever, because we weren't supposed to live like that. God made us to thrive. So I saw the opportunity and I said, this is what I want, and I want it for my family too. And Brittany's going to share a little bit about her story.
Yes. So I started Plexus a few years ago. I was looking for a way to bless my family financially. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and we homeschool our 5 kids. And I was just looking for a way to contribute financially and take some of that pressure off of my husband, without having to give up what was the most important to me, and that was being with my kids and just being that present stay-at-home mom. And so this was a really good fit for us because we don't have to do parties, number one. It was a very low buy-in cost. It only cost $34.95 to join Plexus, which I got a return on very, very quickly and became profitable within my first 2 weeks of joining Plexus. And if I had to do parties or invest a lot of money to get started or stock my garage full of inventory, this is a business I probably would not do. But since it's all online, and really my job is simply to share with people about Plexus online or in person, I can just talk to people about Plexus and share with them how Plexus can help them address the root issues in their health, then it's just so simple to fit into my already busy lifestyle. And it has completely changed our lives. At this point, I'm earning a 6-figure annual income, which has been such a huge blessing to my family. We were a one-income family. And my husband, he would have loved to start his own business or something like that, but we couldn't afford to miss one paycheck. There was no way that we could just step out on faith and, go without a paycheck. And so now my husband has freedom. He has the freedom to choose to pursue whatever it is he wants to pursue because of my Plexus business. He gets the load is taken off of him, and now I get to see him more. He doesn't have to work nearly as hard as he did. He's doing what he absolutely loves to do, and which I think he would do if he was getting paid for it or not. So it is a huge blessing. Been so good for our family, and we get to drive a brand new Lexus paid for by the company, which is something I never would have envisioned myself doing, and get to go to Hawaii every year. It is a total dream come true, and we are just so thankful that God brought this opportunity into our lives now and not 10 years from now, right? Because of all of the things Michelle just said about the timing where we're at in the market right now with this company. I just so humbled that God would do that for me, and I'm very, very thankful. Love the products, love this opportunity, love the company, love the people that I get to work with. It's a good life. So that is my story.
I love it. Thank you so much, Brittany. Well, thank you all for hopping on. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about Plexus, and Deidre will tell you about the promotion that we have going on right now. Instead of $34.95 getting involved in Plexus, it's only $9.99. You can't even get a latte and a movie for that. And it could be something that could change your life. I hope you share this video, watch Deidre's video, because she talks about how this has been life-changing for her. And I hope we get to meet you all soon. Thanks so
Good
much.
night.
Good night.